guys, and welcome to Nicker. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I did a little bit more close up the border on my brother-in-law's blanket. I did this beautiful gray farmhouse blanket, but if you look up close, it has these nice little Picot tips on them. So we're gonna do it on a much smaller scale. I actually put together 4 squares that make up about the size of one of these squares, and I'm going to show you how I go over my joins, how I go over my corners, and everything like that. So stay tuned and you'll be able to see how I make this beautiful little edge that works so wonderful on this farmhouse blanket, which I already have a tutorial on, so if you're interested in that, links will be down below. All right, let's get started.
All right, so I'm going to be using a 5.5 or size I furls crochet hook. And you can use any kind of crochet hook. I just really like my furls, as many of you already know. And I'm gonna hit my ceramic little chicken. No. I'm also doing a little community tab poll for what I should name my chicken. So if you're interested in helping me out with that, you can go over there in the community tab and help me out with that. So basically I took and made 4 little mini granny squares and I sewed them all together. I wanted to show what it looks like over the join. I have my yarn already attached. Still, I didn't unattach it from this skein, but what I like to do is I'm going to chain 1, the start of my work. So however you want to attach your yarn, if you just want to attach, slip stitch, after you attach your yarn, you're going to chain 1. Our goal is to single crochet around twice. That's what I like to do with my Picot edges. If you just want to go around once, or if you even want to just go straight into the Picot edge, that is your choice. I find that it makes it look much more smooth on my edges whenever I go around twice. And here is what I'm going to do. We're essentially going to put a single crochet into the corner of wherever you're working. So we're going to do 1 right there because we'll come back and we'll do 2 on the end. And then I'm going to place a single crochet on the tops of every single one of these double crochets and the puff stitches. Basically we're just going to single crochet around. So I'll show you how I get and what I do to this when I get to that corner. And I'll probably just show 1 corner and finish it off, and then that's essentially what we're going to do for the single crochet portion of this edge. So we're getting there, and once we get to where we joined right here, you have a choice to make, and I tend to do one thing versus the other. So all right, so we just reached our last actual stitch from our double crochets, and now we have kind of 2 pockets, 2 corners that have met. I like to place 2 single crochets inside each of these. So 1, 2, because that kind of branches it out and makes it look a little bit more flat. And then this one tends to be a little bit more, I don't know, this one's a little bit tighter of a stitch, but I'm still going to place 2 stitches inside that 1. This makes it a bit more flat by putting 2 inside that 1 corner on each part. So that basically increased 4 stitches, kind of. Well, it increased 2 per, if you were gonna talk about it that way. All right, and then you continue on. And a big thing that I do is whenever I reach my corner, you have this nice open gap. Same as over here, but now you've got a corner to deal with. We're going to continue to single crochet around, just placing a single crochet in each one. And when we get to our corner, we're going to do what people in my comments, they've corrected me along my box ones. I just call it a double increase, but I believe another term for it is also a corner increase. We're essentially turning our corner, and the way that we do that is we're going to, this is our last little stitch right here as I drop my stitch. There you go. You're going to want to, you have basically a chain 2 here, but we're going to place 3 single crochet within this little corner. So it's kind of increasing twice. That's why I call it that. So 1, go back inside that little corner, 2, go back inside, 3. Then you're going to start picking up your stitches again along the other side. And when I go around my second time, I'm going to do the exact same thing, except we're only going to do a corner increase on our very corner tip. So that middle stitch right there between the 2, we're going to put another corner increase along there on our second round. We're not there yet. but if you wanted to know spoilers for the future part of the tutorial, I guess. Alright, so then we're just going to keep going around, and I'm going to do the exact same thing along this, here, 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 and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when we meet back to the very beginning of our corner. But basically, we're single crocheting across, putting 2 single crochets in each of our little corners that join. So if you have more, just put 2 single crochet in each one of those. And then I'm going to do a corner increase, putting 3 single crochets inside this little hole right here. And I'm going to keep doing that until I reach my corner, and I'll show you what we do. We're basically just going to put 2 single crochet in there to round it off because we already have 1 single crochet from when I started. I'll be right back as soon as I get all of those done. All right, so basically we are now back at our next corner. So we went along all of our sides, and now we're back to our corner. Since we did a little single crochet right here, we're going to place 2 single crochet inside of our part right here. Basically, this is going to round off our corner and make it a nice edge. That way there are 3 single crochet inside this corner as well. Then I'm just going to go up here, slip stitch, and chain 1 again. And because I don't like this looking bumpy so much, I'm still going to go around 1 more time, and that is basically just I'm going to single crochet in every single one of these single crochets and do a corner increase along this corner. I'll show you what I mean. I'm probably going to fast forward until I get right to the corner. And now we've reached right here along our corner here. This is really the part that I want to flatten out, so I'm just really excited to be able to single crochet across that. And it's a lot easier than last time because I don't have to like go under and dip and all that stuff. But you'll see in just a second, as soon as I go over it 1 more time, that extra repetition makes all the difference when it comes to flattening out that little curve. Basically, you can see that it's much flatter along the second time around when you do that versus over here or down here where it kind of dips inward towards it. That's why I always do 2 rounds around with single crochet before I do any of my borders. For the most part, I like a good foundation that I can do my my borders on, and that helps a lot. Makes it so that I actually have something nice and even to go across. All right, so we're getting close to the next corner basically. And what I do here is you have 3 single crochet inside this corner from the previous round. You're going to want to take that center stitch, so the one right in the middle of the 3. And so here I'm going into, hold on, let me look. There we go. This right here is my little middle stitch. So we're going to single crochet into the one to the right of it. Then we're going to go inside that center stitch and we're going to place another 3. We're going to do a corner increase as what I've been told, putting 3 stitches within that single stitch from the previous round. And then in the next stitch, or the last increase from the previous round, or the last increase stitch, we're going to place just a 1 single crochet right there, and we're going to turn our corner and we're going to just single crochet all the way down the side, and we're going to do the same thing for all of the corners. I find that this makes a nice, I don't know, rounded and also square edge here. Basically, it's, I know that sounds weird, but you know what I mean, you can see it. But I'm going to continue doing that on all of my sides, and I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did last time where I put 2 single crochet in here, and then we can actually start our picot edge. So I'll be right back as soon as that's done. Okay, so we've reached back to our very last stitch, and this is our corner. And what I did last time was I put 2 stitches inside my corner, since I already had 1 in the corner up here. We're going to do the same thing with our very last stitch. Put 1, go back inside, and 2. Now we're going to slip stitch, and you're back to what I'm going to consider my 3rd row now. We're at the very start, and this is a repetition across 3 stitches basically. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to chain 1 just to give myself that height so that I don't have a weird like space difference. And then I'm going to go back inside my first stitch, and we're going to single crochet across 1, 2, and 3. Don't worry, I know that I said across 3 stitches, but we're going to be doing something different. So 1, 2, and 3, and this is where it becomes a little bit different. Now we're going to create our bobbin. So we did our first 3, and this is across 3 stitches. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 chains. 1, 2, 3 chains. Then we're going to slip stitch inside our very first chain, like so. And that is what creates that little knob. Now go ahead and start your next repetition. My Alexa decided she wanted to start being chatty. Okay, 2 and 3. Now it's time for our next little knobbin. That's what we're basically creating. So 1, 2, 3 chains. I'm gonna pull out a little bit more yarn. Go back inside our very first chain, slip stitch. If you pull a little tighter, it will also make it so that your knobbin's a little less large. And then you're gonna start your next repetition. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm gonna do this all the way until I get to my corner, and I'll show you how I do it on the corner. I try to line it up so that this little stitch here is in line with the very last single crochet of a repetition. So basically 1, 2, 3. I want this to line up along there so that when I do a knobbin, it has a nice little point on each of my corners basically. I'll show you how I do that in just a second as soon as I get across a couple more. Alright, so this is what I mean by you have to fudge it sometimes. So here I did my first single crochet after a picot, so I'm already the first stitch into a repetition of 3. But if I did repetition 1, 2, then I'd have to do my picot there, and then I have 1, 2, and then that doesn't look quite right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually fudge this one. I'm going to just do 1, 2, and then I'm going to do a picot instead of having it be a repetition of 3, because I want this corner to not look quite as funny. So if I do the one before, it will look a little less funny. That's how I always kind of like fudge my numbers whenever I single crochet. So now I did my picot, and yeah, it's a little bit closer than I'd like, but it's okay. So then we go up here, 1, 2, and then 3, and now that I'm on my corner here, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and picot. So that's all I do when it comes to this edge, basically. So if you don't have a perfect repetition where it's easily divisible by 3, you can always just fudge it. I tend to go, when I do fudge it, I try to only do 2 stitches instead of 4, because it ends up looking a lot less blatant when you have a smaller spot that's missing a picot versus a large length of it missing a picot. And that is pretty much all there is to this edging. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm actually going to be using the same picot edging for my next granny square blanket, which I'm doing a whole crochet with me about that, so you can see that probably in a couple months. I don't know. It'll be up, and maybe if you are like a year out from watching this, I'll have a link for it down below. But it's a black blanket that is really pretty, and I'm going to be doing the same little border because I absolutely fell in love with it. And if you like stuff like this, if you like content like this, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We are now at 43,000 subscribers. That sounds absolutely crazy bonkers to me. I cannot get over that. Holy moly. If you like this pattern specifically, this type of granny square, I do have a tutorial on how to do that. I'm probably going to be making I have a couple other borders that I've done before as well. So I'm going to be making a playlist of like a granny square must know playlist basically. I'll also link all of that down below, so if that's something you're interested in, let me know. Alright, if there's any other borders you'd like to see, again, comment down below. Let me know if my comments are off, because they tend to be turned off for some reason, and I don't know why YouTube keeps doing that, but they do. And it's frustrating, but that's neither here nor there. Hit the little bell if you want to be notified when we do put more content out there. I try to put a little bit good variety of a couple different like knitting, crafting tutorials out there. And that's pretty much it. All right, until next time, guys. Bye.